Tonight, we're witnessing a seismic shift along the world's longest undefended border, a transformation that will echo far beyond the boundary lines themselves. This isn't a military standoff or a sudden diplomatic rupture, but a fundamental economic realignment. One that could reshape the very fabric of North America for generations to come. Canadian leaders are sending a clear and unmistakable message. The era of unwavering economic integration with the United States is drawing to a close. Ottawa is now openly signaling a strategic decoupling from the American economy, driven by a new sense of urgent realism about the unpredictable future of global trade. Senior officials are preparing Canadians for a future where prosperity is no longer guaranteed, and where old certainties are rapidly fading. The old assumption that closer U.S. ties meant a stronger Canadian economy is being carefully dismantled, piece by piece. The new message is clear: adapt, innovate, and diversify, or risk being left behind in a world that's changing faster than ever before. This marks a dramatic departure from the post-World War II consensus, a consensus now threatened by rising American protectionism and a fracturing global order that is less predictable and more volatile. Canadian policymakers now say what many have quietly feared for years: the US-led system of stability and open markets is crumbling. The old rules no longer apply. In response, Canada is building economic firewalls, seeking new alliances, and diversifying partnerships across the globe, while also strengthening its own industrial base to ensure resilience and self-reliance in uncertain times. By discussing decoupling so openly, Canada is taking a calculated risk, but officials believe that inaction would be even riskier, leaving the nation exposed to forces beyond its control. They see a future where trade is weaponized, alliances are fragile, and national interests increasingly trump international cooperation. Their decision to act now, rather than wait, signals just how seriously they view the challenges and uncertainties that lie ahead. This is not just an economic story, it's about a nation redefining its place in the world and charting a new course for its future. The stakes couldn't be higher, and the world is watching as Canada steps boldly into the unknown. To truly grasp the magnitude of this shift, we need to understand the long and complex history that brought us here. We need to look back, tracing the roots of a partnership that has shaped both nations for generations. For over a century, Canada and the US have been more than just neighbors. They've been deeply integrated economic partners, building prosperity together. The 1965 Auto Pact and later NAFTA created a seamless North American market, powering Canadian growth for decades and transforming industries on both sides of the border. The US became the destination for about 3/4 of Canadian exports, making it the engine of Canadian prosperity and the backbone of its economic security. But this deep integration brought vulnerabilities. When the US economy stumbled, Canada felt it instantly, with jobs and industries at risk. For years, this was a manageable risk, offset by the immense benefits of open trade, shared innovation, and predictable rules. Now, that trust is eroding, replaced by growing uncertainty and concern about the future. Canada's new stance isn't a minor tweak, it's a reversal of a century-long trend, signaling a dramatic shift in direction. The country's modern economic identity was forged through North American integration, with industries and communities built around cross-border cooperation. To speak of decoupling is to question the very foundation of its post-war prosperity and to challenge the assumptions that have guided policy for decades. The symbiotic relationship that once guaranteed stability now brings uncertainty, as old certainties give way to new risks. The US, once the champion of the rules, is now changing them, forcing Canada to adapt in real time. Canada is being forced to rethink its entire strategy for economic survival, weighing new alliances and opportunities. This is a historic turning point, a moment that will define the next era of Canadian economic policy. The old playbook no longer works, and the familiar paths are fading. Canada must chart a new course, forging its future with resilience, vision, and a willingness to adapt. The shift from quiet concern, whispered in boardrooms and among policy experts, to public alarm has been swift and unmistakable, echoing across the country. Top Canadian officials, including the Bank of Canada, are now warning Canadians that the era of automatic prosperity is over. Productivity growth has plummeted, lagging far behind the US and other major peers, raising serious concerns. This isn't just about numbers on a chart. It means lower wages, fewer opportunities, and a tougher, more uncertain future for millions of Canadians and their families. The government is no longer sugarcoating reality. Hard choices and difficult conversations are ahead. Leaders are breaking a political taboo by openly admitting that the economic future is less certain than before. The old model, relying on a housing boom and U.S. proximity for growth, is simply unsustainable in today's world. Canada needs a reset. Innovation, investment, and global competitiveness must now take top priority. The message is clear. This is a call to action. Riding America's coattails is a recipe for decline, not prosperity. The time for complacency is over. The future depends on bold choices made today. Canadian leaders are making a bold declaration. The US-led global trading order is finished. Deputy Prime Minister Chrystia Freeland says the era of predictable rules-based trade is over. Major powers now prioritize national interests over global cooperation. The old system, built on integration and shared prosperity, is gone. With the WTO weakened and trade wars rising, Canada can no longer rely on global rules. Trade is now about geopolitics and security, not just commerce. Canada must choose its partners carefully and build resilience at home. The goal: navigate the breakdown and build a new foundation for prosperity. The main driver of Canada's pivot is uncertainty, especially from the United States. American protectionism, from tariffs to Buy American policies, has shattered predictability. Even foundational trade pacts like NAFTA have been reopened under political pressure. For Canada, the rules-based framework is eroding. Investment and planning are harder than ever. Economic decoupling doesn't mean severing ties, but reducing over-reliance on the US and building resilience. Canada is seeking new partners, strengthening domestic supply chains, and investing in key industries. The political consensus in the US has shifted toward nationalism. Canada can't wait for the old days to return. The only rational response: ensure Canada's economic destiny is determined in Ottawa, not Washington. Canada's response is twofold: diversify trade and build domestic strength. The government is forging deeper ties with Europe and Pacific Rim nations, reducing dependence on the US. This isn't just about new markets, it's about alliances with like-minded countries. At home, Canada is investing in innovation, clean tech, and critical minerals to boost productivity and resilience. The goal is to ensure Canada can produce essential goods and control vital resources. This is a shift from pure free market efficiency to a model valuing resilience and self-reliance. Economic sovereignty is now a top priority. The contrast between Canada and the US is stark. Canada is preparing its citizens for slower growth and tough choices, while the US projects optimism and market strength. Canada's candid approach bridges the gap between market performance and everyday reality. This isn't isolationism, it's adaptation to a less stable world. Canada aims to lead among nations that value predictability and open commerce. The illusion of permanent prosperity is over. The rules have changed. Achieving prosperity now requires effort, foresight, and self-reliance. Canada is facing the new reality with eyes wide open.